Hello and welcome back. And yes, I know I have been away, but as it says in the title, big changes. So that's what I'm here to talk about today. Now, when you see that opening credit, it says Journeys of a Downsizer, and I think that's exactly where I've got to. Hang on, you're crooked. You don't mean to be crooked, but you are. There you go. Is that a bit better? Ooh, sorry for the wiggle. Anyway, yeah, big changes. So, what's the background? The backstory, not really much of a backstory, is it? We were all locked down for so long here in Melbourne, and after literally years of this, it's been a big sort of wake up for me that I really need to be out and among people. And so I've gone back to work. I know, I've gone back into that retail space. Hang on, coffee's needed. So I've gone back to work in retail in, what should we call it without naming it? A high-end tech company, retail, and all of the things that are associated with that. And I'm loving it. So let's get that out there right away. I'm loving it. But, well, bit of a wake up for the brain, which is something I wanted, and a big wake up for my normal sort of schedule, which, you know, left me time for doing a lot of other things. So the positives are huge because I'm out, I'm socially engaged, I'm dealing with people of all ages and demographics to assist them, and I'm having to learn a lot as I go along, not just because, you know, at one level I'm very good at tech, I've always been tech focused, but this is the detail, it's the comparison, it's making sure that the product is correct for that person and that they leave happy and empowered and excited. And that side of it is, of course, great. I love it. It's not easy. I'm back out and on my feet for, you know, eight and a half hours a day, and often, you know, and more, because I'm not very good at sitting down anyway at the best of times. So I walk when I'm not actually, you know, doing the job. The learning for the brain has been huge. My brain has, you know, really had to step it up, which is not a bad thing. It's a very good thing for me and for a lot of us. I think that as we get a bit older, it's so easy to say, oh well, you know, senior moment, can we just take that one right out of the whole dictionary? Because I think that when you use it, you grow it, you know, you grow attention back, you get focus back, you can do all of the things that are great for brain health, and you know I'm really big on brain health. What else? There's no real routine because I'm on different sort of schedule, different roster, these sorts of things, and so I would prefer it, I think, if it was a specific routine. But it doesn't matter. Anything that makes me have to change it and shake it up, that's a good thing for me. And of course, like everybody else on this planet at the moment, there is a real rising cost of living. Now, okay, a lot of people will just absorb this without blinking, but there are, I'd say probably 95% of us don't. It has been a huge change with petrol prices, food prices, you know, the cost of travel if you want to be able to be traveling, the cost of running your home and maintaining it, and all of the things, you know, like even paint has gone up. So everything is going up at the moment, and definitely good for me to be earning. And I know that a lot of people will be having to reassess their financial planning for their retirement if they decide to have one. So I think there's a lot of change for all of us at the moment in the current situation. And the other thing that is a really big bonus is that it keeps me mentally very busy, as I said, but it keeps me mentally busy and away from the news cycle, because I think the news cycle at the moment is horrific. And I'm not saying I want to hide from it, and I'm not pretending it doesn't exist, but here in Australia we've had devastating floods, absolutely devastating. And while it hasn't affected me personally, it has been a terrible loss of, well, human life, livestock, livelihoods, businesses, whole towns have been wiped out in the floods up in Queensland and northern New South Wales, and even down into Sydney. So that's one thing that's been the focus of our news cycle, quite reasonably. And of course also the conflict in Europe, and that's far too close to so many of my friends. And if you are being impacted by that, I am so sorry, you know, that people, it's heartbreaking, and there's no other way around it. And so because of that, I think self-protection comes into it. I can know what is happening, but there's very little I can do on a personal human scale, and knowing about it sometimes is very harmful to, well, if you let it become something you focus on, and that becomes that spiral into the negative side of life. So this has been a really good way to make me focus on day-to-day things, you know, getting myself up, getting myself to work, doing my job, engaging, and having such a range of ages that I am working with, which is also fabulous, a range of skills. Wow, amazing range of skills, and just getting out there and doing it. So one of the things that I've sort of thought about in relation to this is that I've done the empty nest, and I've done the downsizing, I'll call it decluttering for want of a better word for that, downsizing of possessions that was not clutter in one home, but you can't take it with you to a smaller home. I've done all of that, and the question that I sort of was asking myself when I made this decision was, what's next? And I'd really love to hear from you all, to see what you're doing next. Maybe you're going to, move to the beach, or go up and buy a cabin in the mountains and have an explore, or go out to the country and become self-sustainable. I don't know. Maybe you have those sorts of plans. Maybe you just want to build a beautiful garden somewhere. You may well have those plans, and they are busy work-related plans, because there's no way around it. Doing that is definitely a big task. It takes a lot of planning, it's a project, all of the things that are involved. Or maybe you are very involved with your family. Maybe you're picking up some of the care of your grandchildren. I know a lot of women do that, in particular older women, and I do have a grandchild here, and maybe the other 2 grandchildren will finally make it home, and in a permanent way they are coming for a visit. But on the other hand, I sort of do have this thing that, hey, I raise my kids, and I think that my children want to raise their children and to make those organisational things for themselves as well. I'd love to do it for a day or so a week, but I don't want to be tied down to or have the responsibility of raising my grandchildren. So, and to be fair, it's not on offer. So, because I have very independent children. And that's great too. And they also they're in a position to be able to take care of themselves and their children. Now, the other thing though, I know that a lot of you are involved in community activities, that you work in your local area. Perhaps you have an involvement in a local church, maybe just general community groups, book clubs, art appreciation groups. Hey, it's all the sorts of things that come next, where you have that time. And that's wonderful as well. But if you are then faced with, hey, rising costs, you would like that a little bit of extra to spend on, maybe a beautiful, wonderful trip that you can plan for in the next year, as flights come back and destinations open up and it becomes easier again and less concerning, can I say? All of those things that we can do again, it was wonderful. But maybe there's a part of you that says, hey, I really wish I could have kept working for longer. And you see these people working into their 70s and 80s and 90s. I know, 90s. And their brains are so sharp, and their outlook on life is so vital, vivacious, and they're really tuned into their communities and their work and their professions. And I would say, as one very young person said to me in my new role, he said, oh, it's so exciting, isn't it, to be able to start another career and just have so much scope ahead of you. And I, you don't do this, but mentally I kissed him. He's just such a lovely young guy. And he didn't see any barrier for me. And I thought that was fabulous. And I think that's the sort of person I'm engaged with at the moment. These people who go, oh, what are your interests? not what is your age. It's like, of course you do it. Of course you do these things. Yeah, that's the sort of person you are. And you've got this huge scope and years to explore it in. And I thought, wow, that in itself is worth being in this role. It's worth being engaged again. And after the years of isolation with the lockdown and with the very dangerous period of the virus, I'd just like to encourage you to have a look, to not go, oh, older people don't get employed, because you're right, they don't, we don't, in some areas. And let's push back against that if it's something you want. If you have, if you have some time, it doesn't have to be full-time, it can be part-time, 3 days a week, whatever, anything like that. Push back, say, hey, this is something that we can break the cycle of seeing an older demographic as finished. If it is something that you want, then hey, let's break these barriers. I'm sure that there are other businesses, other careers, secondary careers. Why not? Third career. Hey, give it a go. Maybe you want to start your own business. Maybe you want to develop a hobby into a business. So they're all the positives. One of the harder things, one of the, not necessarily downsides, but one of the challenges that I've come up against, I'm tired, and the temptation is to flop on the sofa, eat ramen noodles and watch Netflix. And I cannot do that. I have to be organized. I have to do some pre-planning for meals. My belief in meals for you or two. And that has to be pre-planned and organized and written down. So I'm getting there, little by little. These are my baby steps. And apart from that, exercise. I'm not walking as much as I want to, or doing weights and things like that are so vital to staying strong, because muscle keeps us healthy. It's highly correlated to longevity. Good muscle is part of longevity, and it's a lot harder to gain or keep as we get older, and that's just life, so we have to work harder at it. So I will have to go back to the gym now that they're open again. Anyway, what am I going to do in the future? Well, we continue to downsize, we continue to adapt, we continue to make food, because hey, we make food. And let me know. I'd love to hear what you would like me to do in the future. Any questions you have. It's about time we had a Q&A, don't you think? We haven't had one of those for years. And yeah, let me know. Drop it down in the comments below. I'm always happy to hear your comments, read your comments. And yeah, give me a shout out. Say what you'd like to hear, what you'd like more of. And yeah, what sort of motivation, what sort of encouragement, what sort of inspiration when it comes to food, because inspiration and food, boy, do we need, well, I need inspiration and food. So I hope this little catch up has answered some questions about what I'm doing, maybe thrown up some questions for yourself about what you're going to be doing, and given you the chance to let me know what you would like me to be doing in the weeks and months ahead. Please subscribe if you want more. If you also really want to get out and get involved and enjoy being socially active and having that mental stimulation, give me a thumbs up. Tell me that this is the sort of thing that you like. And wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I hope that you are staying safe and well. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.